A little bit busier than usual, Sam commented as he looked at the line of people leaving the city. Celine tilted her head. It seems mostly adventurers. I suspect that there has slowly been an increase in the number of requests related to monsters in the forest. I also suspect that many of them are working with merchants, escorting them to the next destination, Rawl added. If there are people who are sensitive to changes in their surroundings, it's usually merchants. Maya looked at Rawl. Why would you say that? Directing his attention to Maya, Rawl said, it's due to the fact that merchants have to deal with a lot of risks when it comes to their trade. In order for a merchant to become successful and grow their trade, they need to be able to make determinations about whether traveling a certain route will be profitable. James listened to Rawl's words, appreciating the lesson. Though he'd never become a merchant, even in the real world, it was never a waste to learn about what other people did as a profession. There could be times where it'll be helpful to understand the motivation of a merchant too, James thought to himself. Thinking about merchants, James wondered how things were working outside the underground cities, beyond the influence of Star Moon and its territories. It feels a little like a trial run of how we'll handle the outside world. James had a sudden realization, matching the current request with what was happening in the world. The workers inside the underground city had explained that there was no need to be concerned about the things outside the walls breaking inside. It didn't change the fact that beyond Star Moon's influence was now no longer the territory of humanity. But there are likely still people that are able to survive out in the harsh conditions of the world. And if there are people surviving, then there would need to be a way for people to gain access to resources. James continued to follow the path in his mind, imagining how the world now functioned. As Maya continued asking questions, with the others occasionally joining in, James casually listened. Having made the connection in his mind, it was something that he could not shake off. And if what they were doing was parallel with their current reality, it would only mean that being successful in the request was just that much more critical. What do you think? Maya asked James. Making sure not to let Maya know that she had pulled him from his thoughts, James smiled. It may be helpful for us to get used to talking with merchants on the road. There may be merchants traveling that have information about anything unusual that's happening. Grunting, Naylor spoke. That's a good head that's on your shoulders. I don't think many adventurers with your experience would have reached such a conclusion so easily. His eyes looked at James approvingly. Mim nodded. You and your group may be less experienced than our group, but it's obvious that all of you have talents that the branch manager could see. He paused for a moment. Once we leave the city and enter the wild, we'll need to start thinking of ourselves as being part of one group. So it's reassuring to know that all of you are able to come to the correct conclusions without needing things explained beyond the superficial level. Both of the elves slightly nodded their heads, agreeing with Mim's and Naylor's words. Sam grinned. We'll make all of you proper adventurers. I suspect that all of you will be approaching level 30 by the time we finish this request. When they got into the line for leaving the city, a few of the adventurers looked in the direction. James noticed some of the adventurers widened their eyes after they recognized Mim and his group. There were a few whispers acknowledging the capability of the group and wondering what Mim's group was currently working on for the day.